Hey, what's going on, folks? How y'all doing? Um, my name is Joe Blak, formerly known or otherwise known as Coward Shop of War, and I'm here to basically speak about the ICGJC and my experience being a part of what is now known as a cult led by so-called holy apostle and chief high priest, so-called God-sent comforter, who calls himself Tazadakia, also known as Jermaine Grant. Where do I start? I was a part of that organization for about 7 years. Yeah, I was there for about 7 years until I was, as they call it, suspended indefinitely, which means, you put out until they decide when you can come back. And the reasons as to why I was put out is, well, I'll get to that. Let's put it that way. It's something that I'll get to later if time permits. I want to talk more about what I experienced there and how I feel about that organization. And hopefully this will reach the countless members or congregants that are still trapped in there under the guise and deception of this evil and wicked man who they think is a prophet. He's a false prophet. He's a phony. He's a deceiver. And he is someone I have no respect for because of the things that he continues to do to what we know are God's people, to people who have been oppressed really since day one. When you talk about people of color, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and people under that umbrella, people of color, Native American Indians. We have a history of, oppression and many atrocities committed against us. And, for someone like him to come forward and present himself as some kind of savior or messiah, after Christ or sent by Christ, and then just, take complete advantage financially, emotionally, physically, in so many ways, I find it highly offensive and highly disrespectful. And it's sad because, they're all victims. I myself was once a victim. And, I can't believe that there was a time in my life where I really believed who they said he was or who he said he was. I had a deep and profound respect and love for him because of what I was led to believe by not only people that I trusted and had love for, but through the teachings that were passed down, the things that he taught. He's someone who appears as someone who's well versed in the Bible when you don't know much about the Bible. And I kind of wanted to explain how I became a part of huge deception. The deception was just incredible. As a person who's always been searching, but has always believed in God, has always believed in Christ, the one book that I had a hard time really understanding and reading, to the point of completion was the Bible. So I was eager to learn more about the Bible. I was eager to be taught the right way because I knew that there were a lot of lies being pushed with many false doctrines. as a person who doesn't believe in religion, I was brought up in a Catholic home, and from a very early age, I think I was around maybe 18 or 19 years old when, I told my parents that I just didn't believe in what they had taught me as far as spirituality. I still commend, honor, and love my parents because of the job that they did. Raising 3 boys in Harlem was no easy task. And their faith in God is something that I do not doubt. It's something that I believe is what got them through it and allowed them to, raise us the way that they did. So I credit them and I credit the Most High. But do I give credit to the religion? No. Because there were a lot of things, there were so many flaws, so many holes in that doctrine that made me feel uncomfortable, highly uncomfortable. Some people may not understand this and may find it offensive or whatnot. I'm not here to offend anyone or disrespect anyone, but I always had a problem coming into a church where the God, the deity, the person of worship, the so-called saints, all looked like the people who oppressed my people. And I couldn't stand going to my mother's house, even to this day when I visit my mom, and I walk in and the God that she says is her savior, my father, they say, both him and my mom, their savior, their Messiah, they have images of someone who reminds me of the atrocities and all the evils committed against my people. And it just never made sense to me that everywhere you go on the planet, even if you go to Africa, you go into, this is a continent that's predominantly black, and you go into one of their temples, you go into one of their churches, and the Jesus that they worship, follow, and believe in is a Caucasian. That never sat well with me, especially when you look at where we are or where Christ was geographically. It just never made sense. And all the praying and the shouting and screaming and on your knees and, that our people have been doing for centuries behind that doctrine, and it got us nowhere. Martin Luther King led the people through so many marches with this turn the other cheek thing and have faith in God and we shall overcome. And here we are in 2020 and we haven't overcome. People think we've come far. Yeah, we may have come far with certain things, but to be honest, sometimes I feel like there's no hope for our people because we've been led astray. We've been led off a cliff. And it's no longer the fault of the people who had us in captivity. It's no longer the fault of the powers that be, the people that have us in captivity are in power. Now, we can blame ourselves because it's our own that are holding us back. So when you got a jackass, a degenerate like Jermaine Grant coming out, and saying that he was God sent and that God spoke to him directly, and all these prophecies of what was to come and what was going to happen and how we were going to be freed and finally out of captivity, the mental captivity, the financial captivity that so many of us are still under, that all of us really are under on this planet. And to come find out that this was all a lie, it was very, very hurtful. It affected me, it affected my family, a lot of my closest friends. It hurt relationships with people that I loved dearly. And I feel fortunate. I'm very thankful because I've been able to repair all of those relationships that now that I'm no longer there. No one was extremely angry with me, particularly my children. And the reason I was asked to leave and I was put out of that church was because of how responsible I was as a father to my children. All I wanted was time with my children. and I was made to look like someone who was turning his back against his nation. Now, I'm not a perfect man, and I admit I have made mistakes in my life, not just when I was a part of that madness, but in my life. And the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ is under extreme scrutiny now due to a series of events. The church has been raided several times because of Jermaine, because he's under investigation now from embezzling funds. Go to public records, folks. This is public knowledge. He's been arrested. He's got an ankle bracelet. He pled guilty. He's going to court. He's going to be sentenced early in this year, sometime in January, and he may or may not do jail time. In addition to that, there have been some crimes committed, hate crimes against people, who happen to be Caucasian, the Jewish people. And the people who committed these crimes were African American. And it's being brought to our attention that they had ties to the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ, or as the media put it, the Black Hebrew Israelites. I was never associated with the Black Hebrew Israelites because when I was a part of the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ, we never referred to ourselves as the Black Hebrew Israelites. There's a reason why we never did that. The Israelites are, first of all, it's a way of life. We don't believe in religion, even though this wound up being a cult. The thing that was pushed in this doctrine was that it was a way of life because we were the true people of God. In other words, the original and real Jews, which I still believe today. Who the real Jews are? They're people of color. That's not an opinion. That's actually a fact. Do your research, look into it. It is factual information that the real Jews are people of color. If you look in the Bible, not to get crazy and, but I'm not going to get into scriptures right now. This is not what it's about. But if you do look in the Bible, you got to look, first of all, and see that it's a history book. It's a book of the world history. So when it talks about the Romans and it talks about the Greeks that are mentioned there, and it talks about the Egyptians, then there are other nations that are mentioned. The nation of Amalek, the Ammonites. You've got the 12 tribes. And outside of the 12 tribes, there's Assyria. There's so many different nations. The nation of Magog, Ashkenazi. You have to ask yourself, who are these people? What nations were they at the time? Who represents them today? Because you're not going to find the word Mexican in the Bible. You see the word Greek. Those are the people from Greece. You see the word Romans. Those are the people from Rome and Italy and, that territory, what have you. Egyptians is the people in what's known as Africa. But we're the so-called Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Cubans, the Mexicans, the Ecuadorians, the Jamaicans, the Haitians. And when you look at the so-called African American, the so-called black man, where is he in the Bible outside of being an Egyptian? Who were we during that time? We were the real Jews. When you do your research and you read up on it and educate yourself, the majority of those people were the Jews, the children of Israel, who were in captivity. Nowhere in our history will you see that the children of Israel were Caucasians. And though they were scattered throughout the earth, or 4 corners of the earth, when you read the Bible, because of their disobedience, the Lord dispersed them or scattered them throughout the entire earth. What we taught when I was there was that you were going to have Israelites or the children of Israel coming back, and the biggest concentration of them were going to be in America, but they were going to come from many, many, many parts of the world. So in that church, you have people, the majority, look like me, my complexion, or darker. But you also have very, very fair-skinned people who had straight hair, light eyes, whether they were Puerto Rican, Cuban, Italian. Yes, we did have an Italian family in that church. So when today the media says that we're a hate group that speaks against the white man, no, we speak against the devil. And though that is a cult, and I no longer subscribe to the bullshit, a lot of the madness and the lies that were taught by Jermaine Grant, the one thing that I'm going to, go out and say is that all we spoke about was, as far as hating the evil. Because the Bible also says that if at all possible, we must be at peace with all men. So the brothers that you saw out there being overly aggressive and cursing while holding the Bible, the Word of God in their hands, that was not us. That was not that group, the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. Those were guys known as the rebels, who were once a part of the church, but broke off or broke away and started their own sects, their own organizations. I'm speaking factual information. That's what this video is about. Being extremely honest about everything that I learned, witnessed, and experienced. My achievements as well as my shortcomings. So I don't care who chooses not to believe me. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to state the facts because I have a circle of friends, family, and followers on social media who know that I was a part of that organization. And people have questions. Many of my friends and family have asked me questions when I was a part of it and after I was no longer a part of it. And I asked them, I allowed them to question me, and I answered all the questions truthfully and honestly. So I want to continue to clear the air. This is mainly for those who are still part of that organization that need to get the hell out of there. Run like hell and get out of there. Save yourselves and save your families. And this is also for people that are very dear to me, friends, family members, who have not had a chance to hear my side of the story, talk to me, or ask questions. If you check out this video, you want to subscribe to my page, to my channel, hit like, whatever. It's not for likes and views. In the comment section, you're free to make comments and ask questions that I will address. I will address honestly and to the best of my ability. But they call them a hate group now, and terrorists. Anybody that knows Joe Blak, Jose Moreno, knows that I would never be a part of any terrorist organization. There's a reason why this government is labeling them a terrorist group. It's no coincidence, it's no coincidence that a group being labeled terrorist happens to be people of color. We know what that's about, folks. But it doesn't change the fact either that Jermaine Grant is a wicked person, wicked individual who was stealing from us, breaking up families, a lot of the madness going on in there. I mean, this guy has yet to show his passport. I'm not going to get into that, but, when he got caught up in this situation where, now he's on his way possibly to jail and dealing with that case, he all of a sudden decided that there was going to be legal fees that needed to be paid for. And he made the congregants pay for that. And it's like they say, when you're part of organizations like that, whether it's the Israelite organization or any of these other religions that make you pay money and tell you have to pay tithes, which nowhere in the Bible does it say that you must pay tithes. Do your research, folks. We're not supposed to be paying tithes. 10%, 20%, we're not supposed to be paying anything, And the proof in it is you pay this money and it's supposed to better what? The church, the community. And it doesn't. Name one church out there where people pay money, they pay tithes, and it has actually bettered their community, it has bettered their households, it has bettered them financially. And what I mean by that is in a way that everyone prospers, not just one person, not just the pastor who's driving around in a brand new car or a private jet and buying mansion after mansion. Jermaine was one of those assholes. He talked so recklessly about the Creflo Dollars and the T.D. Jakes and the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons who are out there taking advantage of God's flock. But you know better than they are. In fact, you're worse. You know, he's worse. I mean, this guy, over 8 homes, 40 cars, 40 vehicles, nice cars. I saw a lot of them. I didn't see all of them, but I saw plenty nice cars. One that I saw that I happen to like in particular, because it's actually my favorite car. It's the Jaguar. He used to come down in that vehicle all the time. You know, this man had Bentleys, Mercedes, Hummers. You know, I mean, he wears Pradas. You know, nice outfits. His children go to school with a chauffeur. They have 24-hour security and a driver that takes them where they need to go, picks them up, brings them to the church, takes them to school, in a Sprinter, which is made by Mercedes. And this man said to everyone, I heard with my own ears and saw with my own eyes when he said, I'm a successful businessman. And as a successful businessman, you need to explain where you got your success from, because he tells us it's through a record company, a record label called Blak Icon. I was there for 7 years. I never saw one record released. He can't name one artist signed to his label. So how did he make money? Through that record label. If you don't have artists, if you don't have music being released, how do you make your money off of that? You've never signed anyone. And you have millions of dollars. You never signed anybody. It's just sitting there, this office, producing nothing. Nothing. And there's a lot of talent in the nation. I myself, I'm a rapper and poet. And we performed at events all the time. So a lot of us could have been signed to that label. This man doesn't make music. He's a horrible DJ. He puts together songs where he plagiarizes. He steals music from other producers or beats that he hears, or songs that have already been released, and he'll grab the instrumental and attempt to rap to him. He's one of the most horrible rappers that I have ever heard try to grab the mic and do something impressive. The man cannot rap to save his life. I mean, horrible. He's a cornball. So I don't know anybody that would give him a deal. You know, in fact, he doesn't have a deal. So you need to explain, where did you get your millions? We know where you got your millions. We know where you got your money. You know, I'm not going to go into that. That's public knowledge. What they're accusing him of doing, you know, he has to prove that he didn't do those things. And he knows he did it because he went for a plea bargain. He copped out and he pled guilty. You know, how does a prophet of God plead guilty? You're a prophet of God, which means God speaks to you the way he spoke to Moses, the way he spoke to Noah, this is what he told. He speaks to him the way he spoke to those men. So why do you need an attorney? Moses didn't get an attorney. He didn't get anybody to represent him and help him get out of trouble. John the Baptist didn't do that. No prophet in the Bible went and got someone to represent them and get them out of a jam when they were being accused. See, those men were being falsely accused. He tries to make it look like he's being falsely accused of doing things. But then he goes and he pleads guilty. It doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't make any sense. And in addition to that, all of these so-called prophecies that I have been hearing from this man during the time that I was a part of that church, not one came to pass. There was supposed to be a church built from the ground up. That didn't happen. They were supposed to do groundbreaking construction, I think by 2017. None of that happened. And this thing was going to be, from what he said, 4 times the size of the cathedral. Whether it's St. John's Cathedral St. John the Divine, or St. Patrick's Cathedral. Those are big, big churches. He said 4 times the size. It was going to be in New York. None of that happened. He claimed that there was a brother who died, part of the church, who was going to come back to life. That didn't happen. There was a brother who was crippled, paralyzed, and he was supposed to walk again. That didn't happen. A brother who was blind was going to get his sight back. That didn't happen. There was supposed to be a major city bombed, huge attack on a major city. He wouldn't tell us what city. Later on, I found out it was supposed to be Baltimore or Chicago. That didn't happen. Plagues that were supposed to come. None of this stuff happened. Now he's telling people that they're going back to Israel and that they're going to cross the Atlantic Ocean, which I find hilarious. This nigga comes right out of a Cracker Jack box with the things that he says. And then he walks around with security. You're a true man, prophet of God. What do you need security for? You're protected by God. So, it's just a lot of foolery, man. And we were all bamboozled. And, anyone could say, how did you fall for that? How could you be so dumb? How could you be so stupid? Listen, if you're someone that's searching and you're a believer and have strong faith in Christ, it could happen to you easily. When you're searching for truth, when you're searching for knowledge in a world where it's nothing but lies, and someone comes to you with information that makes so much sense, and it ties in with the truth about history, you fall for it too. I'm a history buff. I love history. I love debating with people about the truth about our history compared to the lies we were taught about our history. There was so much information being taught there that was very, very similar to what I had already known about our people and just about history, about world history itself. And, you get intrigued by how it's brought out, how it's taught. And like I said, if you hear this man teach, he was intertwining the truth with a lot of his BS. And after a while, when you stop reading the Bible for yourself and listen to what's being said by someone else, and you've already developed trust for this man because of who he says he is and what you've seen him do, after a while, you just start to take his word for it, which is what happened to so many of us. And now there's so many people still stuck in there because they're blind. They've been drinking that Kool-Aid, man, like that he's serving. They've been drinking it by the pitcher to the point where they can't even come back from that. People that have been in there 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I've seen brothers lose jobs, get divorced from their wives. You got men in there with more than one wife, and they don't take care of none of their children, and I was like, I'm not going to become that dude. My children were not a part of the church because me and their mom divorced before I was a part of that. And though initially I did take them to service with me, because of custody issues, we went to court, and I was no longer allowed to bring them there. But what we had in place was, court orders that allowed me to see my children definitely every other weekend. And in between those weekends, definitely every Sunday. And whenever I could make time during the week, I was encouraged to make time to see them during the week, which is what I did. And I'm not going to get in too personal. I'm not going to get too personal with what kind of lifestyle I was providing or living with my children. But everyone that knows me well, knows that I have always been a part of their lives. And it goes without saying, I've always been an excellent dad. And I can say that and pat myself on the back as being a super dad because I learned from my father. He was my example. My dad has always been a great father and still is a great dad to me and my brothers. So there's no way I was going to be a deadbeat to my children. They didn't deserve that, and I love them dearly. I love spending time with my children, even until this day. I love spending time with them. So when that became a threat to me, the time that I spent with them when they needed me the most, and over the last 4 years, my children have been through some serious things that really involve it really, it was something so serious that there's no way that as a father and as a man of God, I was not going to be there for them. And I'm thankful and I praise the Most High for allowing me to be there and allowing me to be that kind of person where, yeah, I have a rebellious spirit when it comes to my family. Nothing and no one is going to stop me from being there for my family. You would have to kill me. And that's how it should be. If you're a good parent, you do what you got to do to the death for your children. And this man did not understand that because he's a deadbeat. He doesn't care about his family, and even if he does what he wants to do, but he won't allow you to do the right thing. He gets to spend all his time with whoever he chooses to spend his time with, and gets his children whatever his children ask. They drive around in nice cars, beautiful clothes, jewelry, at our expense. We're the ones suffering. But now I can't spend time with my family, with my children. It got to the point where I was barely seeing them. They were demanding a lot of my time in the church. The church is run in a military style, so you have ranks, you have positions. So with those positions come responsibility. And I was responsible for a whole lot in that church. And some of the men above me who were overseeing what I was doing will tell you that. They're probably going to lie for him, because that's another thing that goes on in there. People lie for him to make him look good, but they know me. I wasn't a problem brother. They know that. Out of his own mouth years ago, when we were getting promoted, he called me a breath of fresh air. I never gave anybody trouble when I was a part of that organization. I never disrespected anyone when I was in there. I got along with everyone. In fact, when I got risen up to certain positions, men under me went above and beyond to do whatever I asked them to do because of how I asked them to do things. I did things with love. I did things with respect. I respected the men for who they were. I would never disrespect another man in front of his wife and his children, or even if his children weren't around. I give them the respect that they deserve as a man. So I never had any problem with men under me and telling them what they needed to do. They got it done for me immediately as soon as they could because of how I treated them. We were taught that being above men doesn't make you a master, like the Bible says. You become more of a servant to them. You have to serve them and be there for them and their families. And that's what I tried to do, and tried to, remain as humble as possible. Because as the Bible says, that promotion doesn't come or from the east or from the west. It comes from the Lord. So I know that everything I was experiencing, all the good things, came from the Most High. But this man, he made it seem like, everybody around him had the devil in them. So the minute there was a problem and you go to counsel, it's just basically to degrade you, put you to shame, embarrass you, and slander you, lie about you, and then ultimately put you out, which is what was done to me. I was humiliated at a special session out in Philly, to the point that ever since that session, I never even wanted to go back to Philly. You know what I'm saying? And when I did, all I could think about was it was associated with the bad experience that I had out there over a situation where, it was with a woman that I was courting. We were in a courtship, and it didn't work out. And because it didn't work out, this woman decided that she was going to bring out a lot of personal things that happened between her and I, and present it in a fashion like we were doing something wrong. We were getting to know each other, and there were some things said and done, personal things between her and I, that should have been kept between the two of us, as far as phone conversations or pictures or texts, that were sent back and forth. And in there they look at that as, oh, that's perversion. You got perverts, or you're wicked, you're going off, and you're being carnal. And it's basically an attraction, a strong attraction and affection between a man and a woman who want to be together and were into each other so much that, certain times conversations got hot and heavy over the phone, because she lived in North Carolina and I lived here in New York. And sometimes you just, can't help but, when you're on the phone or FaceTiming each other, certain things happen. Like, ain't none of us innocent. We've all been guilty of doing stuff like that with somebody that you love. There was a whole lot that I'm leaving out to save time that, made me realize she wasn't the one for me. I'm not going to throw her under the bus, even though that's what she did to me. I wish her well. I'm just glad that it didn't work out, because we weren't right for each other, But when she decided to do those things and bring it out and bring it to the forefront, she only did it because at our last council session, she made herself look bad, where they ridiculed and humiliated her because she was trying to bring me down with her, and it didn't work. So a few weeks later, she said she was going to go confess about a lot of things that happened that weren't supposed to happen in a question. And, I was like, you don't need to do that. That's personal. And that's something that was between me and you. And, if there was any wrongdoing, we got ourselves right with God. So, we need to stay away from this council, because there was a lot of stuff going on at the time I knew about council that I was like, it's not going to go right. The only people who are going to get hurt in there is me and you, and we don't deserve that. She didn't listen, and we both got hurt, especially me, more than anyone else. And, it is what it is. I'm actually glad it happened, because, that person was not the person for me. It wouldn't have worked out, and I didn't want to be involved in that kind of drama. So, aside from that, like I said, in that session, everything was brought out in front of a panel of over 60 people. It's like being dragged off the court and being accused and of doing certain things and making you look like something that's a 1 was blown up to 100. Like a small little mistake. This should have been just a little bow was turned into hang him high, hang that nigga high, strip him in front of everybody, beat him and hang him. And that's what it felt like. And the people who came up there and continued to humiliate and just degrade me, some of these brothers were people that I had love for, brothers that I broke bread with, who I had genuine friendships with. And I'm not mad at them now. It hurt, because it looked like some of them were actually coming up there doing it on purpose. One brother in particular broke my heart, because even after the session and they hit me with a judgment, and I was stripped of my rank, and had to wait to see if I was even going to be allowed back in the church. He decided to continue the humiliation and talk to me like I was a child, where he imposed his rank over me, because he was of a higher rank and I was way at the bottom, he felt like it was okay to talk to me like I was a piece of shit. And this is somebody that I hung out with on a regular basis. I had been to his crib. We go hang out in restaurants, kick it, laugh, joke, and then all of a sudden, I was like a piece of shit to him. You know what I'm saying? And it's over with. You know what I'm saying? He's no longer part of the church. He got kicked out. And I didn't wish that on him, but it happened. And you know what? He's happy that it did, because he's no longer part of that madness either. And he and I spoke, and we cleared it up, and we good now. We good. It's like, I let him know it hurt me. That was like, I can't believe you did that to me. But he wasn't as bad as some other brothers in there that was supposed to be genuine and cool and just went for my jugular And I don't even blame them. That's Jermaine's fault, because that's the culture. That's what he creates. And people feel like they have to do that, or else now you got to deal with him. So rather than they be embarrassed and humiliated, they be like, okay, he's on the chopping block. Okay, then we're going to crucify him. They rather see somebody else get, degraded and totally disrespected than it be them. And that's sad, because everybody in there lives in fear. Not in fear of God, in fear of Jermaine. This man has destroyed families and relationships. He has blood on his hands. There are people who have died because of the oppression, because of the way we are pressured and forced to do certain things in there, where you have to do certain days of security. You have to do certain days of unit work to go out in the street and preach the ministry. You have to go to Tuesday night class. You must buy several raffle tickets. Explain that, Jermaine. Why are we paying for raffle tickets? What do raffle tickets have to do with Christ or any high holy days? And what happened to the money? You're being forced to do certain things. And everybody in there knows they don't like it. But no one wants to step up and speak against it out of fear of, oh, you got the devil and you put him out or put her out. I saw people go to council and then just get put out over lies because somebody else didn't like them or was jealous or hateful. And now that person who's innocent is getting put out and being accused of things that they didn't do. Part of why I got put out was because I was accused of something that I did not do. A chief priest in there felt that I disrespected him when we were over the phone talking. He was harassing me about giving him extra days of security, which I could not do because of my job. So what am I supposed to do? Just not show up to work and go sit in a church with a few other brothers and watch the church? For what? Like, what does this church need so many people in there watching it for? They had us in there around the clock, 24/7. Security, security, security. Watching this place like it was Fort Knox. And they were getting a lot of days from me. I didn't have a life. I did not have a life. In my special session, if I'm lying, prove it. I was humiliated so bad that Jermaine himself was like, man, you guys humiliated this brother. Put this brother to shame. He said it himself. He's not going to remember that because he talks so much shit out of his mouth and says so many things. He don't remember what he says or what he does to who and when and why. He doesn't remember. But people who were in my session, you remember that. He came on and said, man, you guys really humiliated. Y'all brought out something y'all didn't even have to bring out. Damn. So it's like he pushes you into doing certain things that are real disrespectful to a person. And then he comes back and be like, God damn, you didn't have to do all that. So now you went hard against this brother, so hard. You disrespected him so much that now there's no chance of you and that person reconciling and rekindling whatever y'all had because he caused that. And then damn, that's what you did. Damn, you went hard. And makes himself look good. But by then I could already see this dude was full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Because he'll sit there on the sidelines doing this. And there's people in there now who can't stand each other. There is no brotherly love in there. This place is being run by a bunch of tyrants. And he's the number one tyrant. Holy Apostle Shaw, Holy Apostle Ariel, they know better because they put him in that position and they know he's lying. They know he's a fraud and they won't come forward and say anything. There are other brothers in there. You know who you are. That know that this man is a fraud. Know that this man is stealing, lying, and that he's not the God-sent comforter. He's bamboozling everybody. There are people who know they're in there and say nothing and watch him do it. Tazapawan is one of them. And you could say, oh, they're afraid because he has something on them, or he uses fear and intimidation. I don't know what everybody's so scared of. Because the minute I realized he wasn't the God sent comforter, I was like, any fear that I felt was fear of God. Like, this is who God talks to? Oh, wow. So this is who God is talking to. This man really is the modern day Moses. Then I got the honor, the respect, and to a certain degree, fear, because he's the man closest to God, and God can destroy you. Read your Bible. You see stories in the Bible about how God had people stoned and killed and for wickedness, for not keeping the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Christ came and changed all of that. But when you read it for what it is, and then you hear what this man is breaking down, you tend to think, wow, he did that for Moses. He did that for Noah. He did this for Jonah. He did this for David. Why won't he do it for him? The minute I knew he wasn't that dude and he was just a nigga, there was nothing I could do because I was no longer a part of it. But had I been in there, and this is the kind of person I am, I stand up for righteousness, for what's right against the wrong. I've always been that way. I've always been outspoken. I'm not going to sit there and watch somebody abuse, bamboozle, and deceive people that look just like me. I'm not going to stand for it. He's not even paying them niggas. Some of them live in some of his houses for free. So you get to live under somebody's roof rent free. You sold your soul, you sold your own people out so that you could live in a house for free. That's a true definition of a bitch ass and a faggot. Because I'm not gonna have no other man support and feed my family so that I could turn around and agree with some kind of wickedness, some kind of foolishness, cover up of nothing but deception and lies against people that look just like me, that have been through the same nonsense as I have, that are struggling, that are suffering. I would never do that. I would never do that. I wouldn't sell my soul so that other people are oppressed and taken advantage of. And I don't care what color they are. I wouldn't do that against the white man. I wouldn't do that against the Chinese, the black. That's not how I was raised. I was raised to respect everyone and to be at peace with everyone. So there's a lot of confusion in there, a lot of lies, a lot of madness. Any of you that are still part of that, if you're watching this and you knew me personally, I don't know what's being said about me in there. They say that people who leave there are supposed to be informants and agents. I work for sanitation folks. I collect garbage off the streets. And I make really good money doing it. So I don't need to go be no agent nowhere and inform. Inform what? Inform what? That they're in there reading the Bible. That they're in there on the Sabbath falling asleep because the classes are boring. And nobody in there knows how to teach. And he wants them to teach exactly the way he teaches, verbatim, the way he does on his DVDs. What? That they're selling DVDs during the Sabbath upstairs on the second floor. That they have a cafe in there, cooking food on a hot plate. A hot plate that probably only takes 4 plates at the same time. And the food is disgusting. That's what I'm going to report. Something that they already know. Ain't no informants out here. Ain't nobody telling nothing. The feds already know what they need to know because of his dumb ass. He's probably the informant. He's probably working with them to continue to fool us. People dealing with the feds. Come on, man. That all of us, everybody that's ever got kicked out that's speaking against that nigga is an informant now. And for me, an informant, I barely know how to pronounce the word. Come on. Basically, you guys know what an informant is, folks. I don't have to explain that. That's where the police or the feds, they got something on you. They got you by the balls. So they're like, okay, you gonna go down for this, that, and the third. And you say, okay, let's make a deal. I'm gonna hand somebody up to you. How could that be us on the outside? Explain that to me. Somebody explain that one to me. How could that be? I haven't been locked up. He has. I didn't get arrested for anything. Not to say that I've never been in jail in my life. Yeah, I have. My case was sealed and dismissed. It was a domestic situation. In fact, I was a part of the church when it happened. I got released. I went to court. I dealt with my situation. I was let go with 6 months of probation and anger management. I got into a fight with somebody on the street, and it didn't go well for that nigga. So I got arrested. Point blank, plain and simple. That's all it was. So they ain't got nothing on me that's gonna make me say, let's make a deal. I'm gonna hand this nigga to you on a silver platter. What am I gonna say that's gonna get them to go after him? They came after him because of what he did. Come on, man. Are y'all that stupid? That don't make no sense. And the ones who know me, listen, there's a lot of y'all in there that know me very well. We hung out. There's a brother in there that's known me since we were teenagers in high school. We knew each other's parents. We partied together. You know what I'm saying? Me and his brother were close. He's family to me. He's like family. And he's still in there sipping the Kool-Aid. And who knows what he thinks about me, because he doesn't take my phone calls anymore. Doesn't respond to any of my texts. And that's fine. I still love that brother because I know what's going on up here. The brainwashing, making him believe that I sold my soul to the devil and that I got the devil in me and all kinds of madness, that I'm an antichrist. I laugh at that. Antichrist? Me, an antichrist? Come on, brother. You know me. You know me very well. You know my family. We broke bread. I've been to your house in PA. You know what I'm saying? Hung out with you, your wife, your kids. They called me Uncle Coward Shop. I would never do anything to disrespect you or your family, and you know that. I would never do anything to get you in any kind of trouble with him, with God, with the authorities, with no one. Like, you know how I got down. I was down for you and your family. Couldn't nobody step to you with a problem and disrespect and me just sit there and let it happen. I'd have had your back in any situation. They shot you, they shot me. That's how I roll with this brother. And he doesn't talk to me. I pray that he gets out of there. And when he does, we'll have a talk and we'll get back to being brothers again. I ain't even gonna hold nothing against him because I know he's being brainwashed. He's part of a cult, and it hurts to have to see him go through all that. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. There's other brothers in their families that I was real tight with, that they may think I'm a piece of shit because thanks to the Injustice League and the videos they've put out, I've actually been able to throw my 2 cents in and speak the truth in the form of poetry. And say things about Jermaine that I'm sure the followers who believe who he is, who believe that he is who he says he is, find what I said highly disrespectful. How could you disrespect the prophet of God? That nigga ain't no prophet. That's why I say the things that I say about him. And the stuff that I'm saying is actually truth. Y'all choose not to believe it. I haven't disrespected anyone in there besides Jermaine and so-called Holy Apostle Shaw and so-called Holy Apostle Ariah. Why? Because they're in on it too, and they should be ashamed. Shaw, you should be ashamed of yourself. Ariah, you should be ashamed of yourself. As the rest of those cohorts, I'm not going to mention their names because they got families and they got children. Tazapa won our name because he's going to jail too. His name, Lincoln Warrington, is on that paperwork, and somebody that bamboozled us. And that bothered me because I love Tazapa One. I had love for that brother. So when I heard that he was down with it, he was a part of this, that shit broke my heart, man, because he's somebody I used to kick it with, laugh, joke. He was always uppity and cheerful and laughing and in good spirits. And, he could be a clown or whatever. People could say what they want to say about him, but, until I found out what I found out about him, I felt like he was a dude that didn't have a bad bone in his body. He was always cheerful and he was humble and He didn't use his rank or his position and, hey, brother, I'm out here, man. He was always so cool and so, warm and friendly and affectionate. See, yo, what's up, brother? Hey, and hugs and embracing you. So that broke my heart to hear that, he was doing those things, man, because he's somebody that I had a lot of love for. And I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed in him, man. That as a treasurer of that so-called nation, you was down with the whole embezzlement, man. There's things under your name, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, he may have twisted your arm. He may have intimidated you, punched you in the face, whatever it was. I don't know what he did to make you go that far. But come on, man, you're supposed to be a man at the end of the day and say, nah, this is causing a lot of people to get hurt. You know what? If it's going to be hurt, let it just be me, because it's already happening to me. But I'm not going to allow it to happen to all these people. What he allowed to happen is a sign of a coward. I'm sorry to say that, but he is. He's a coward. And it hurts to say that, like I said, I had a lot of love for him, And there's other brothers in there that I trained with. We have boxing backgrounds. I went to the gym and hung out with them. We kick it. There's one brother in particular, I still love that brother so much I can't even say his name, because I'm hoping that he'll wake up, and hopefully when he sees this video, he'll wake up and get back to just being a family man. Save whatever you can with your family, with your children, possibly even if you can with your wife. I don't know. So in my eyes, he was always a good dude, stand-up dude, a gentleman. He's like a man's man. Someone that was always so highly respected, because of how he spoke to the men, because of how he dealt with the men. He always had a very high position, and he never exercised or expressed tyranny against none of us. He was a loving spirit, a gentleman. Like, he epitomized what it is to be a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? Fun to be around. I have a lot of experience in boxing and some experience in jiu-jitsu and MMA, but most of my love and my experience is in boxing. And all the years that I spent in that sport, with all the knowledge that I have, I never went pro, but I know a lot about the sport. And though he doesn't have, again, this person I'm speaking of, I choose not to mention his name, though he didn't have a lot of experience like I did, he had so much love and affinity for the sport that he learned from the best. He practiced and studied it so much, his love for it, that where he's lacking in experience, it makes up with his knowledge and love for the sport, to the point that even I learned a lot from him. And, I know a lot about boxing. It's my thing. You know what I'm saying? And I learned a lot from him. And I respect his knowledge in that sport. And it's a knuckle game. The brother can box. He can fight. He can really handle himself. He's fearless. He's a warrior. He's somebody that I would love on my side if we had to go to war. You know what I'm saying? And that I would go all out for if we had to go to war, if there was a problem with any. In fact, there was a problem in the church where people tried to flex on us. And he had all the men behind him, making sure that nobody tried to hurt him. And as soon as it popped off and he gave the order, we were all over those dudes. Those dudes got washed up immediately. This is the kind of love we had for this brother who's a so-called apostle in there. And I still love that dude to this day, but it hurts me to my heart when I hear about how he's changed and how this degenerate, this asshole, Jermaine Grant, has destroyed the minds of good brothers and sisters so bad that they look at me and say, I got the devil in me, I'm no good, I'm a piece of shit, that I changed, that I'm different, and I don't believe in God, and I don't believe in Jesus Christ, and that I'm no good. That's how you feel? That's how you feel. But you guys are all wrong. You're so wrong. You're going to be so, so sorry when the truth finally comes out. But you know what? I'm here to let y'all know that when the truth finally does come out and y'all realize that y'all are part of one of the biggest cults probably ever, an organization that's so crooked from the ground up, that is going to hurt so bad. And I want y'all to know that I'm going to be here for y'all. The love ain't changed. Those brothers and sisters that know me, that know that, y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm going to be here for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Where you can still, if you got my number, pick up the phone, call me and be like, yo, Joe, I'm sorry. No apology necessary. I understand. I was a part of that shit too. You know, ain't no love lost. What happened to us happens to the best of us. What's happening to all the innocent, beautiful people in there happens to the best of us, because we are true believers and true worshipers of the gospel of the Lord. And when you believe in God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, you got to be careful. You got to stay in that book and read it for yourself, because, you know, it said in the last days, people were going to be deceived. They were going to be deceived, you know, by false prophets and men coming saying that they are the Christ. And this is happening. So the fact that it happened to me doesn't make me feel stupid, because I'm part of prophecy. I'm part of that fulfillment of biblical prophecy. And I stand proud with the rest of the brothers and sisters who are out of that place. And we can say, yeah, it happened to me, but you know what? It didn't break me. It didn't change me. It didn't destroy me. And though it did scar me, I accept and embrace the scars, because the Lord has healed me and he has made me whole. So I'm not afraid of being hurt anymore by anything or anyone. Why? Because through the hurt, the most important thing that people need to look at and look forward to is the healing. Whenever you're hurt in anything in life, by anyone, anyone or anything, always look forward to the healing process. If you're a believer in the Most High and you have faith, the healing process is coming. So these are the things I wanted to just address real quick, and just let those brothers and sisters in there that I ain't got nothing personal against y'all. If you hate me, you got no love for me. You know, there's really nothing I can do about that. You know, if I see y'all on the street, basically, you know, I say hello, you know, how you doing? You choose not to speak to me. That's your prerogative. That's your business. You know, it is what it is. You know, I ain't taking it personal, but a lot of y'all are going to need help when you come out of there, picking up the pieces. I myself was very fortunate, because I came right back to my family. They embraced me, told me they loved me. And like my mother said, you know what? I may not have agreed with what you was doing. I may not have agreed 100%, because they agreed with some of the things. And they said a lot of the stuff I was saying made sense. But my mother has her beliefs that she's been believing since she was a child. And she said, I may not have believed everything. I may not have been happy about what you was doing, but I respected it. Why did I respect it? Because when people came to me and said, yeah, your son is out there with those guys on the street wearing the garments and with the Israelites, and, you know, a lot of people in her church who were haters, you know, because their children were up to no good on the streets. And I said, well, look at your son. My mother said, well, you know what? My son isn't on the street selling drugs. He's not on the street as a wino, standing there on the corner getting drunk. He's not selling his body, and he's not hurting his people. He's standing on the street with a Bible. And at the end of the day, I respect and love him for that. He may not be teaching the things that I taught him, but I gotta love and respect him, because he's not out there spreading anything negative. He's spreading love, and he's speaking about Christ. So when I told him I was no longer a part of that, she said, you know what? God answered my prayers. We prayed that you would make an exit out of there. Why? Because we saw it tearing you away from your family. And the Lord answered our prayers, because here I am. You know, like, I ain't miss a beat with my family. We're tighter than ever. We go on vacations together. We get together all the time for dinner. I was always tight with my two brothers. We're tighter now. You know, my niece, my nephew, you know, people who follow me on social media. You see, I always post a lot of things with my family. I got a wife now. We got a child on the way. You know, God has been so good to me. God has been so, so good to me. And I thank him every day. I acknowledge the Lord every day. I mean, everything was returned to me tenfold. I'm doing so well financially, emotionally, physically. My life is so much better since I got out of that place. And you know, I know what they're gonna say. That's the devil. The devil is making himself look like it's Christ rewarding him. And they gonna hang you, brother. He gonna get out of my face with that bullshit. You guys can't see that you're being led astray by the devil, by one of his top soldiers, one of his top demons. And when you guys find out, ooh, that's gonna be a rude awakening. I feel sorry for you guys, but I'm gonna be here for y'all. I'm gonna be right here. That's my word. Some of y'all, like I said, ain't nothing personal, but as far as a friendship, we ain't gonna have that. Y'all, they know who they are. If I ain't mess with you when I was in there, I ain't gonna mess with you now. And then there's some that I did rock with to a certain degree, but they got so disrespectful that I could see they never loved me. So don't come out of there looking to pretend to love me, because I'm gonna look at you right in your face and be like, dude, you don't like me. And that's fine. We don't need to, be around each other. Ain't no hate, because the only person I hate is who I used to be before I became a part of that organization. I was a different person. And I worked on that. Therapy, whatever I needed, prayer, searching, and I became a character that today I'm proud to say I am that person. I'm more and more each day like my father. My father's my hero. I love who he is, and I love who he tried to raise me to be. And finally, at the age that I'm at 48 years old, I finally get it. And I strive to be more and more like him because he tries to be like Christ. So that's who I choose to have as my role model. My dad, who's always been there since day one. I encourage you guys to listen without bias to what I'm saying. I'm being very, very sincere. And like I said, the ones who knew me well in that organization, y'all know I'm not lying. You know I'm not lying. You looking at this video and you know I'm not lying. You know I'm not being deceitful, and that I'm, trying to turn you away from Christ and turn you, because I'm miserable on the outside. You watch this video, you can't see a miserable bone in my body. You know that. I'm happy. I'm happy. Being on the outside made me realize how miserable I was in there. There's only one relationship I was in that up until maybe a year ago, I regretted losing that relationship. It was a relationship with somebody outside of that church years ago, and someone I was very fond of, very dear to me. And for whatever reason, we're no longer in touch and no longer deal with each other. And I wish that person well. And that relationship didn't work out. The main reason was because of the bullshit I was subscribing to in that organization. As far as everyone else, I'm great. I'm doing good. Our relationships are great. It's back to 1,000%, and no regrets on both parts. And I'm fortunate. I am truly, truly fortunate. I'm truly, truly loved, and I'm truly loved by God. I can see that, and I, like I said, I acknowledge the Most High every day. And I love my Lord and Savior as a result, because of what he's done for me and continues to do for me and my family. And when I do my affirmations, my meditations, and acknowledge Christ every day and ask him for things, he gives me exactly what I ask him for. And you guys are in my prayers. You guys are in my prayers. I think about y'all every day and pray that the Lord brings you guys back to freedom, happiness, and prosperity with your families, because a lot of you in there deserve it. And I'm just being patient and waiting for that time to come for you guys. As for Jermaine, you know what time it is for you. And when it comes, you will be sorry. You will be sorry, but by then it's going to be too late. So with that, I'm going to end it. And, like I said, much love for each and every one of you guys. To the listeners on the outside who've always known me, now you heard my side. I was now part of a hate group. I was part of a cult that preached hating the evil and doing good. The leader was a hateful person. He hated everyone, including himself. He doesn't even treat his own brother with the love that he deserves. And I know his brother. I know his brother. We had a somewhat decent relationship, respect for each other. And if he's watching this, if he hears this, I feel bad for you too, brother. You're gonna take his side because that's your blood. But I feel bad for him too because you deserve more than what you got. You shouldn't be living in that part of Jersey City in some little run-down house, and doing security 24/7 when you can't go out and get a job nowhere and do better than what you're doing. Whatever he's paying you, that's none of my business. I don't know and I don't care. But you deserve more than that. I know if I had millions, my brothers wouldn't be working for anybody and they'd be living the good life with me. So the fact that you ain't a part of that, that's a shame. That's disrespectful because I would never treat my brothers like that. Not my blood brothers. So, again, I wish the best for all the innocent people that are still part of that organization. Things are not going to get any better for that organization. Look at the news, folks. Y'all see it every day. Trump and all these Jewish organizations and the mayor, government officials are coming for them. And, that's Jermaine's fault. That's his doing. And whatever's coming in that direction, he deserves it. He deserves it. As far as the people that they're saying were tied to that organization committing these crimes, I never saw any of them while I was in there. Never saw any of them. I don't think they were part of the organization. Were they there before I was? Who knows? I don't know. They're probably from other groups. But the hate in their hearts didn't come from there. That comes from childhood. Okay? When people do things like that, something went wrong in their childhood. Something went wrong a very, very long time ago that created a mental, chemical imbalance and made them mentally unstable to make them do those things. When you decide to blame it on a group, that's where you're going on. But as far as the rest of you guys, you're in my prayers, and Godspeed to everyone. And I hope that this clears up a lot of things for everyone. And, I'm at peace, and I wish peace for the rest of you. Okay, so with that, I say, everyone have a good one. Peace and blessings.